Good afternoon, everyone. I again apologize for the delay. I am waiting for my first slow news day on this job. It is not today. It is a news day, that's for sure. I have a couple of things I'd like to say at the top here. First, as many of you know, we had a briefing on the President's Latin America trip earlier today, and I wanted to follow up on a question. There will be the State Department will be hosting a Spanish language briefing tomorrow on the President's trip. Some of the foreign press was asking about further updates, and I wanted to provide that information. They should look to the State Department for the details. Secondly, I'd like to mention that today the President called both King Abdullah of Saudi Arabia and King Hamad of Bahrain to discuss the situation in Bahrain. The President expressed his deep concern over the violence in Bahrain and stressed the need for maximum restraint. The President also stressed the importance of a political process as the only way to peacefully address the legitimate grievances of Bahrainis and to lead to a Bahrain that is stable, just, more unified, and responsive to its people. The President reiterated his support for the National Dialogue Initiative led by Bahraini Crown Prince Salman. On a separate issue, the chairman of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, Greg Yatsko, came to the White House today to brief the President. He gave the President an update on the deteriorating situation at the nuclear power plant in Japan. Others in attendance at the briefing included National Security Advisor Tom Donilon, Homeland Security Advisor John Brennan, Deputy National Security Advisor Dennis McDonough, White House Chief of Staff Bill Daley, and John Holdren, the Director of the Office of Science and Technology Policy. In the briefing, Chairman Yatsko updated the President on the status of the reactors at the plant in Japan and on additional protective measures the United States is taking to ensure the safety of American citizens in that region of Japan. He informed the President that it was his recommendation, and this recommendation has turned into the advice of the State Department, that American citizens in Japan evacuate, those American citizens who are within a 50-mile radius of the reactors, evacuate from that area. This is the same advice that the NRC would give if this incident were taking place in the United States, to evacuate beyond a 50-mile radius. With that, I will take your questions. Yes, Erica.
Jay, can you talk about the New York Times journalists that are missing in Libya? Is the President aware of that, and what is the U.S. government doing to try to find and secure their release?
Well, I know we are aware of it, Erica, and we as you know, strongly urge the governments in the entire region, in this case, those in Libya, to protect journalists, allow them to do their work, do not harass or in any way detain or use violence against journalists. I will refer you to the State Department to efforts that may be undertaken with regard to specific journalists, but our overall stand is very firm that American journalists need to be allowed to do their work, not harassed and not detained.
And on Raymond Davis, could you clarify as to whether the U.S. did in fact make payments to those families to secure his release?
Erica, the United States welcomes the release of Mr. Davis. He was released he was pardoned, as you understand it, as we all know, by the families involved of the victims, and in accordance with Pakistani law. I don't have any more information on that for you.
Well, lawyers for the family members say that the U.S. government paid the family members, or that the Pakistani government paid them and the U.S. government will get a bill. Is that accurate?
I would refer you to the State Department on that. I don't have any information that would corroborate that.
Yes. Jay, is the White House satisfied with the quality and quantity of information coming from Japan about the situation?
Steve, yes. The fact is that it is the information that our independent experts are getting in Japan that led to the recommendation by the NRC that American citizens be evacuated beyond a 50-mile radius. It is obviously a very fluid situation, and everybody is searching for the best information available in a crisis situation. Obviously, the Japanese, who have the lead on this, as this is a crisis in their country, are working very hard to get the best information possible, and we are working alongside them to get that information and then evaluate it independently to make the kind of recommendation that NRC Chairman Yatsuko made and that the State Department is following.
And are you satisfied with how they're handling it? Because it seems to be spiraling out of control.
It is a crisis situation, Steve. I would remind you that the lead in dealing with the crisis is the Japanese government. We are aiding and assisting in every way we can, and we have a team of people there with a variety of special capabilities. We have offered equipment, and we are working with the Japanese, who have the lead on this very critical situation.
And one more thing, that you said you've offered equipment, but have they accepted it? Are they accepting all the U.S. offers for assistance?
I think I mentioned yesterday some of the equipment that they have accepted. I'm not aware of any offers that have been not taken up. So I think that we are working as hard as we can. Our experts in Japan on this, helping the Japanese as best we can, and offering all the technical advice and equipment that we can to help them deal with this situation. Joe.
Jay, why isn't the United States doing what other big countries in Europe especially are doing with their citizens, which is really urging that they evacuate Japan? Why keep this incremental situation going?
Well, Jill, I would point you to the fact that the NRC, the independent agency that monitors the safety and security of the nuclear reactors in this country, has evaluated the information that it has received and advises that American citizens should evacuate beyond a 50-mile radius. That is the same advice they would give if an incident like this were occurring in the United States. So we are treating it in that way. The State Department, in terms of the kinds of advisories that go out, I refer you to the State Department on how that is handled, but this is based on our independent analysis of the situation there, and we are obviously very concerned about the safety and security of American citizens in Japan, and we urge American citizens in Japan to stay in regular contact with the embassy and consulates in Japan, to check the State Department website regularly, and those citizens who need assistance, let me just get this for you here, those citizens that need assistance in evacuating should, I do have some information here, let me just find it real quick, can send an email to to the embassy to get assistance. It's called, the email address is japanemergencyusc@state.gov. And U.S. citizens in need of emergency assistance should send an email to that address with detailed information about their location and contact information, and monitor the U.S. Department of State website at travel.state.gov for further information.
So the United States would help its citizens to get out of that area?
Yes, it will. The embassy and the consulates will do everything they can to assist Americans to evacuate that area.
And just a point here. Up to now, the United States has been saying U.S. citizens should follow the instructions that are coming from the Japanese government. Now it appears that you're saying listen to the NSC, to the NRC. Which way is it? Are they now?
Well, this is new information. When the situation was what it was the other day and yesterday, based on the data that the NRC was analyzing, their advice was in agreement with what the Japanese government was saying, and therefore our advice was the same, and therefore we told American citizens to follow the instructions of the Japanese government. We are now saying, based on our independent analysis of the deteriorating situation, we all have watched on television and read about the damage at the various reactors and the potential for emissions. Based on that new information, the new data, and the independent analysis, the NRC is now advising an evacuation beyond a 50-mile radius. So because that the advice is no longer in agreement, we are obviously advising American citizens that they listen to the NRC and the State Department.
Doesn't that raise a big question? I mean, do you still have confidence in what the Japanese government is saying if you are saying their advice doesn't go far enough?
But I'm not sure the nature of your question. The Japanese government, this is an incident that's happened in Japan. The Japanese government is evaluating the data. We are evaluating it as well, and we are making an independent recommendation for American citizens. It's not a question of, again, this is, to make it clear, this crisis is happening in Japan. So obviously, the Japanese government has the lead here with regards to the dealing with the crisis and advising its people. We have a lot of Americans in Japan, and when the data that we receive is analyzed independently, we're going to give advice based on our analysis. And that's what we're doing today.
That raises the question again.
But I don't understand the question.
Well, just to make sure then, does the advice from the United States go beyond what the Japanese are suggesting?
Yes.
Okay, so if it does, then that means there is a higher level of concern among the Americans about this than among
It is. Again, I will not, from here, judge the Japanese evaluation of the data. I will simply say, based on our analysis and our expert analysis, this is what we would do if this incident were happening in the United States. And because we have American citizens in Japan, this is the advice that we're giving American citizens. Again, it's not, it is simply a separate analysis based on American standards that the NRC has and the advice they would give.
But if I were a U.S. citizen in Japan right now, in that area, if I were listening to the Japanese government, I would be staying in certain places rather than leaving. Isn't that correct?
Well, which is why we are saying that it is our recommendation that American citizens evacuate beyond a 50-mile radius. And so precisely because we believe, based on our analysis, that that is the right course of action, we are issuing this advisory today. The State Department issued it not long ago.
Okay, can I ask you a quick question on Libya? President Sarkozy today said it's a matter of days, if not hours, for the opposition, that forces of Gaddafi are moving swiftly. You have Ban Ki-moon saying if they move against Benghazi, there could be massively dangerous situations for the civilians, putting their lives at risk. We asked you yesterday, doesn't it appear that it's over for the opposition? But now it's not just the opposition, it's the citizens who are in Benghazi, it's the citizens who could be at risk. Doesn't that raise the flag to do more now than simply say the United Nations should act? But nobody seems to be doing anything.
Well, I disagree with that. In fact, the United Nations is meeting today and crafting a resolution. The Secretary of State just spoke about this to reporters in Cairo. Ambassador Rice is working very hard with her counterparts at the United Nations on language that would hopefully, the terms of the resolution would include a range of actions that the international community could take. And we are exploring that and hoping to move very quickly. I will simply cite the Secretary of State, who said that she believes, or rather she hopes, that we will see movement on that no later than tomorrow. So the international community is moving very quickly. We are, as we've noted before, very heartened by the strong statement from the Arab League. We think it is vital for these kinds of actions to be international in nature, and in this region it is vital for the support of nations in the region in order to make it clear that this is not the West or the United States dictating an outcome in a country like Libya, but it is the international community that is making demands and taking action very much in concert with other Arab nations. Yes, Jake.
Just to be clear, those Americans in Japan who listen to the Japanese government and stay 20 kilometers outside the reactor and don't listen to the U.S. government and go 80 kilometers outside the reactor, they are taking risks with their lives that they should not.
We are advising, I think I'm being clear about this, we are advising based on new information in a deteriorating and fast-moving situation at a nuclear reactor site in Japan that American citizens within a 50-mile radius of that plant should evacuate beyond the 50-mile mark. And that is our advice to American citizens.
That recommendation suggests that the information coming from the Japanese government is inadequate.
No, it is, that recommendation suggests that the advice the Japanese government is giving, based on the information it has, is different from the advice that we would be giving if this incident were happening in the United States of America. It is not about the quality of information. It is about the standards set by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission here in the United States and the kind of advice it would be giving should this incident happen in the United States or something similar to it. So it is, again, not about the quality of information or the level of cooperation. It is about our analysis and our standards.
We have higher standards.
It's not about high or low, Jake. I'm just simply saying that this is our advice based on the information that we have.
The European Energy Commissioner said today, quote, there's talk about Japan, there's talk of an apocalypse, and I think the word is particularly well chosen. Practically everything is out of control. I cannot exclude the worst in the hours and days to come. What is going on over there right now? We have not heard the latest in information from the NRC or from the Japanese government, and apparently there has been something that has happened in the last few hours.
Well, it is clearly a crisis. There is clearly
deteriorating, but
right.
what specifically is going on?
Well, again, I'm standing here at the White House. I think you have reporters in Japan. You have reporters, including ones here, who could get the technical, detailed information on what we know from the NRC, from the Department of Energy.
So we should rely on the media, not the government?
No. I just referred to government agencies who can provide technical information about what we know that's happening. But it is obviously a fluid situation. I'm not. We make no bones about the fact that this is a very serious situation at this nuclear plant. We are concerned enough that we have offered a great deal of assistance to the Japanese, and we have our own experts on the ground, both assisting and evaluating information independently for that reason. So I don't think there's a disagreement here about the severity of the situation at all.
Is the U.S. prepared, if Japan needs it, for a widespread evacuation of the population if it needs it?
Obviously, the U.S. is prepared to help and assist Japan in any way that it can in dealing with this crisis, with the aftermath of the earthquake, the tsunami, and the crisis unfolding at the reactor. In terms of what that would entail, I can't guess at this point, but we are prepared to help in any way we can.
So that is a contingency that the U.S. is prepared to handle?
I didn't say that. I said in any way that we can, because I don't know. I mean, we prepare for contingencies of all kinds all the time, and we are assisting the government of Japan in any way that we can now, and we will continue to do so. Yes, Jay.
Jay, I think Joe and Jake were getting at a broader question here that I'm not sure you answered. It's not just the 50-mile issue. It's issues generally. If you're telling the American citizens on the ground in Japan that they shouldn't listen to Japan but should listen to the NRC and the United States on the issue of 50 miles, doesn't that also suggest they should stop listening to Japan on everything else, on whether Tokyo is safe and everything else, and pay attention to what the United States tells them to do? Shouldn't they stop listening to Japan officials and listen to the United States now?
Well, I think I just said, I think I answered the question that the American citizens in Japan should stay in constant contact with the U.S. Embassy, with consulates, They should
Stop listening
visit.
to Japan.
I didn't.
That's the
I
question.
didn't say that. I'm
I
saying
know,
that
but
they
that's
should-
the question. Should they
should-
stop listening to the Japanese government?
no.
Since in this case,
Chip.
that advice was inadequate.
Chip, what I'm saying is that our advice on this particular issue is different, and therefore we are making this advice to the American citizens in Japan.
It's different. You're talking about people
But-
risking their lives by staying too close.
Exactly, Chip, and the severity of the situation is such that
This
we're,
advice is inadequate.
their standards are different from ours based on the information we have about how far you should evacuate from the site of this nuclear power plant. American citizens in Japan should closely monitor the Department of State website. They should stay in touch with the embassy. And we have said that for days, by the way.
Stop following
And it
your
makes
earlier
sense.
advice that they should listen to what the Japanese government tells them what to do.
I think I made clear in answer to Jill's question that this is a break from our early advice because not
just on this
mine,
issue,
but
not
the-
just on this issue, but on every issue.
the American citizens are living in Japan and obviously should listen to the government of Japan. They should also listen to and follow the advice of the American State Department, U.S. Department of State, as provided on the website and at the embassy, and follow the recommendations that we make, including the one we've put out today.
Our people on the ground, CBS people on the ground in Japan, say that that anger is another thing that's spiraling out of control toward the Japanese government, that they are becoming increasingly untrustful of what the Japanese government is telling them. If they don't believe the
Your
Japanese
reporters
government, yeah, that's what they're hearing from people on the ground in Japan. If the Japanese people are losing confidence in the Japanese government, why should we listen to them? Why should U.S. citizens listen to them?
Chip, I have just made clear that we have put out an advisory today from the United States Department of
issue,
State.
on everything.
That it makes very clear that we have, there is a situation where our advice on what to do in reaction to this incident to protect your physical safety differs from the advice the government of Japan is giving. We will give separate and additional advice to American citizens in Japan. That is true today, and it will be true tomorrow. And some days the advice, when it is in concert, will be the same, and when it is not, it will be different. And obviously, we are very concerned about the health, safety, and security of American citizens living in Japan.
Could I just, Secretary Chu today said on Capitol Hill when he was asked about unfolding events, he said, there are conflicting reports and so we don't really know in detail what's happening. Is that an accurate reflection of the President's
It's a
understanding?
very fluid situation. It is a crisis at a nuclear power plant with 4 reactors. And you don't need me to tell you that the situation has deteriorated in the days since the tsunami, and that the situation has grown at times worse with potential greater damage and fallout from the reactor. And that is why there is new information based on a very fluid situation.
And when he was asked if he's satisfied with the Japanese government's response, he said, I can't really say. Is that what you would say?
Well,
in response to that
again,
question?
I defer to the experts. Secretary Chu is one of them. I defer to the NRC. I know that, based on what I've been told, that we are getting cooperation and information from the Japanese. The fact that our analysis may differ on some of what that data means and the actions that we would take does not mean that we have a problem with cooperation.
Is the President concerned at what appears to be a tug-of-war between the Saudis and Iran over Bahrain?
The President, as I think I made clear in my readout of his phone calls today to the King of Saudi Arabia and the King of Bahrain, is concerned about the situation in Bahrain, and expressed that concern directly to the King of Bahrain and called on the government there to follow the National Dialogue Initiative that was is being led by the Bahraini Crown Prince. He believes, as we've said many times, and he expressed this to those 2 leaders, as he has to others in the region, that there is no military solution to the problems in Bahrain. There is no means of violence that will solve the unrest in the region, in any country, and that the future of those countries will be immeasurably brighter if the governments there engage in a political dialogue with the people, allow for a democratic transition, and precisely in order to answer the legitimate aspirations and grievances of their people, so that those countries can thrive politically and economically in the future.
But does he believe that the Saudis and Iran are butting heads over Bahrain? And with the strategic interests the U.S. has in both Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, is he concerned about the conflict between those two?
I think his concern about Bahrain is what's happening in Bahrain, and he believes that the government of Bahrain needs to show restraint in its dealing with the people there. And that all sides need to show restraint, to refrain from violence, and to engage in a dialogue. And he believes that that is the right course for the government of Bahrain, and it's the right course for the governments in the region.
And if I could ask you about the Transparency Award the President's receiving today, the AP has a report that indicates FOIA requests were up last year, but action was taken in fewer cases, and agencies took longer, in fact, to give out records. So, if I could, how has the President earned a Transparency Award?
Wendell, as you know, and I assume you've got your tongue stuck firmly in your cheek when you ask that question, this President has demonstrated a commitment to transparency and openness that is greater than any administration has shown in the past, and he's been committed to that since he ran for president, and he's taken a significant number of measures to demonstrate that. And this is not an award that he is that we are giving to him or he is giving to himself. This is an award from an outside organization that has recognized the achievements this administration has made. If you, I mean, I can provide you the details. On the issue of FOIA requests, the fact is that we have federal agencies in this administration, under President Obama's leadership and directives, have disclosed more information and withheld less information in response to FOIA requests, precisely because of the directives that this president has made. And we believe, the president believes, that greater openness and transparency strengthens our democracy, promotes efficiency and effectiveness in government, and he will continue to pursue the initiatives that he believes very much are in the interest of the American people.
It's not just the AP. George Washington University also released a study this week, and the conclusion was that federal agencies are about halfway to where the president asked them to be, and the author of the study said maybe they'll get there by the end of the president's first term.
And again, we can separately, if you'd like, go through all the data that covers the FOIA requests, but that the president set a very high standard for openness and transparency, I will concede, and that he has asked his government to pursue and achieve that standard, I will also concede. What I will not concede is that his record on this issue is anything but exemplary, and it is because of his commitment to the issues of openness and transparency that he is receiving this award, and he'll continue to be committed to it. Yes, Mike.
Given that Secretary Chu described the situation in Japan as a partial meltdown today, and that there are conflicting reports, says Secretary Chu, that several reactors are now at risk, and given the updated advisories about the evacuations that you've outlined here, is there thought being given here to postponing the Latin American trip?
We still very much plan to take the trip. I just want to emphasize, we are leaving on schedule on Friday. It bears repeating that this is a crisis. There is no question about it, and it is a crisis in Japan. It is not a crisis in the United States. We are very concerned about our allies and friends, the Japanese. We are doing everything we can to help and assist them. We are very concerned about the safety and security of American citizens in Japan, and we are doing everything we can to ensure their safety. But it is, we have no plans to change the trip.
Is it under consideration, postponed?
No. I mean, it's somebody asked me yesterday, could an event occur that would cause you to postpone a trip? That's like asking, could an asteroid fall from the sky?
Let me ask you this. The discrepancy, the The discrepancy between a 20-mile evacuation zone that the Japanese government has recommended and the 50-mile evacuation zone that the American government is now recommending for its own citizens. Was there thought, any concern